Hello and welcome to another video. So this is going to be a little bit more of an informal video. It's really just a chat and a catch up just to share with you what I've been doing over December and January regarding my tarot practice. So grab a cup of tea or whatever your drink of choice is, and we're just going to have a casual time talking all things tarot and maybe more. So I am going to be talking about new decks, my year ahead spread, tarot practice, things I've been doing, a little update on the deck I'm designing, some books I've read, and my new tarot course / series that I've started uploading videos for. So I will put some chapter notes below, so for those of you that are only interested in certain aspects, you can skip ahead to those. So welcome, as I said, and do be sure to share in the comments what you've been doing this month, whether it's favourite decks or things you've been trying out. I always love to hear what people are up to. So I'm going to take a sip of tea, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is my year ahead spread. So my year ahead spread last year was, I think, overly complicated. I think I was a little bit ambitious, and so I decided to simplify it a little bit this year. And what I did eventually decided on was to use the I think it's called Day in the Forest spread from the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. I've talked about this before on the channel. What you ideally do is you have your Fool and your World card as a significator, and you pull a card for the beginning of the day and the end of the day, the sort of energy. So I decided to take that idea and do it, but for the month, and really, so it's just 2 cards for each month. Last time I think I had 3 or 4 cards, and whilst that was an interesting process, I found that after a couple of months I stopped going back to it and referring to it, and what I've done is tried to lay it out in a really simple way, and I probably won't be able to find it now. Oh, there we go. So what I might do is overlap footage on top if this doesn't work out. So yeah, and then I've put the 2 cards here for the World and the Fool and the World card, and then I've left a space to actually reflect, just to see kind of did the energies or themes of those cards actually crop up. Really just to sort of track it, because that's the thing I didn't do last year either. I just sort of put all the information down but didn't do a very good job of referring back to it in the end. And I think kind of, if you're going to do a year of head spread, you sort of want it to be a useful working document, if you like, although document is probably not the right word. So yeah, really excited about that, and if I remember I will share at the end of the year how I got on with that and whether I plan to do it again next year. So it's really going to be a watch this space with that one. So I have had, excuse me, some new decks to my collection. I had a little bit of Christmas money, and a couple of these I've shared in my end of year tarot tag, but some of you might not have seen that. So they sort of came in pairs, so which were these 2. I'm not going to flip through them, but we've got the First Aid for Broken Hearts Tarot by Nanora. This is a really interesting deck. It has sparked some comments about whether this is an AI deck. I personally think that it isn't. I can understand why people would think it's an AI deck. I think more likely it's a digital illustration, and that has been supported by some information that I found on Instagram, and it is a beautiful deck, and I think some people have been put off by that. And then this one, which is the Dream Song Oracle, this has been doing the rounds here on YouTube and Instagram, but it is, I think, a really beautiful deck, and I like the sort of whimsy and yeah, sort of well, dreamlike quality that it has. And in a similar vein, after getting the Dream Soul Oracle, I decided to go ahead and get the Magical Hours Tarot, which has a similar sort of vibe to it in that it's sort of got a lot of elements from the natural world. It also has this dreamlike state, which also First Aid for the Broken Hearts Tarot has as well. This one is a bit more of a pain to get out, and I'm sure you've seen this deck before. I know Rochelle from Amethyst Ascension Tarot did a nice walkthrough on this, and that's how I sort of saw the deck. But it is quite shiny, so excuse the reflections. And I found actually I've been really drawn to this deck, and I've been doing a lot of sort of visual journaling with that, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. But yeah, really stunning deck, and yeah, these images are really speaking to me, so very much enjoying using this deck. And almost a bit of a contrast to that is I finally got a copy of the Deviant Moon Tarot. This is a well-loved deck and has done the rounds, so I'm not going to get this out. I haven't actually used it yet. I am saving it for the next full moon and to do some sort of more shadowy moon work with this deck. But the images are beautiful and bizarre and creepy and intriguing, all wrapped into one. And so I'm interested to see how this deck is going to pan out. I'm getting a vibe that it's not very Rider-Waite-Smith. Obviously it's probably rooted in it, but I get the vibe that some of the images Patrick has really interpreted them in quite a unique way, hence why it's probably quite a popular deck, because it is slightly different. But let me know what your thoughts about this deck is. Do you like it, or did you struggle to get on with it because it is so much different to a lot of the other decks out there? Now, excitingly today, literally just came before I filmed this video, and I forgot to say that I've been buying a lot of my decks from, or all of these, from Oneness Emporium. And if you watch Simon from the Hermit's Cave, he does a lot of work with Cheryl from there, and yeah, I've been really happy with getting my decks from there, and it feels really lovely. As you saw, it comes in a really nice black box. It's always beautifully packaged. I haven't even opened this, and I'm not going to open it on screen, but this is the Celtic Spirit Tarot. I've wanted this since before I even knew it was a thing, since I had the Oracle deck, and some of you will know I'm a big fan of that deck. If you want to see what these cards look like, perhaps you already have the Oracle, then again check out Simon from the Hermit's Cave. He did a wonderful walkthrough on this, which finally convinced me to actually get this deck. What I will say about that deck is it has an additional suit, so it has the 4 traditional suits, and then it has, I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's like a spirit suit or something like that. But again, if you go and check out Simon's video, you will be able to find out more. So 5 new decks into my collection, and then in addition, and it was really because I wanted to get the free postage and packaging, I hadn't got a calendar. I'm really bad at getting a calendar before the new year, but I picked up the Woodland Wardens calendar for this year. I haven't got either of the decks, the Oracle or the Tarot, but I do like the artwork, so I thought I'd give the calendar a go. Now, in terms of decks, I have been drawn to a variety of decks, starting off in January with a couple of healing decks, which was the Herbal Astrology. This is a beautiful, and it's a gentle deck, but I would say if there's an important message where maybe you need to take a bit of action, it's not afraid to give you that. But it's also a very I feel, a reassuring deck, which I sort of coupled up with the Healing Waters. And it was interesting, I was getting a bit of a stalker card from this deck, which was the Grit to Grace card, which is all about kind of, yeah, enduring challenges, but then kind of the person that helps you to become at the end of that process. And it was really interesting to get that card, and needless to say, that ended up on my altar space, because I thought, well, I keep getting this card, so this must be a really important message. In addition to that, I've been using a lot of oracle cards, and so my Moonology decks have seen quite a lot of time on my desk this month. I mean, we have had a full and a new moon already so far in January. At the time of filming, it's 29th of January, and so we're due a full moon at the weekend, so they will come out again. And I had quite a surprise pairing, and what I kind of wanted to do was pick a deck that would kind of, that I felt embraced the astrological sign that the moon was in. So it was in Capricorn, and so I picked a few decks which I thought were sort of earthy, obviously Capricorn being an earth sign, and then used my pendulum to choose a deck, which ended up being the Transient Light Tarot. And weirdly, these decks actually paired quite well together, which was a complete surprise to me. And yeah, really strong messages coming from both of those cards. So what I've been doing is looking at the moon phases ahead, picking a card, a Moonology card for that phase, but then using the tarot to kind of guide me as to where those energies are most likely to crop up, if that makes sense. And I do plan to do a video on that in a bit more detail at some stage. So yeah, and I love it when you get an unexpected pairing. It really makes me happy, because I love experimenting with my decks anyway. Other decks that I've been using, I've mentioned Magical Hours Tarot. I've sort of fallen in love with this deck, really, and I've been accompanying that with the Dream Song Oracle and also the I Am Queen Oracle. This is such a versatile deck, and I had a lot of fun combining some of these cards to do a visual journal page, which I'm going to share later on in the video. And finally, I managed to get out my Tarot of Pagan Cats deck, just because a lot of readings towards the end of the last year were telling me that I needed to have a bit more kind of joy and fun. I think it's just because I've been hermiting and working on my tarot deck, and sort of, yeah, not having a balanced range of activities. So I thought, yeah, I'd dig this one out and embrace kind of playful cat energy. And this was my first deck, so this has a soft spot in my collection, if you like. And who doesn't like things with cats on? I'm sure there's some people out there, but you know I'm a cat lady. Also in my practice, I finally found some uses for some things that I had that I didn't know what to do with. The first being these kind of little organza bags that come with like crystal packs. I was also, a friend of mine very kindly gifted me some kind of velvet tarot bags, and I wasn't really using them, but because I've been doing a lot of visual journaling, I've discovered that these bags are perfect to put the cards that you pulled in and to sort of keep them separate from other cards. And so because I was getting lots of piles of cards in my room where I work, and I didn't have a way of organising them, and I don't even know why I thought to do this, but I was like, oh yeah, I could use these, and this is absolutely perfect. And in addition to that, because I've started doing a series of videos based on specific cards. I've been going through my decks and getting out, like, say, all the Fool cards, all the Magician cards, and been using these bags to hold them until I'm ready to do the video as well. So this has been an absolute game changer, because, as I said, it was just getting a bit of kind of card chaos in my room, and it's not a particularly big space. And in a similar vein, I had this old iPad cover which I've had for years and really does need to be binned because it's covered in paint, because it's from when I used to be an art teacher, and it was a school iPad, and obviously I gave the iPad back but kept the cover, and then I realised that it's the perfect thing because it's got, you can sort of set it up like an easel. I can just put the cards that I'm working with so they're not lying flat on my desk, and then I can refer to them, and I will insert a video of how that works, so you can see what that looks like. So yeah, all for repurposing things. And so I mentioned the Moonology decks earlier, and one thing I have done this year, which I didn't mention from my purchases from Oneness Emporium, was to get the Moonology diary. Now I know there's lots of different Moonology moon-based diaries out there. I wanted to get this one because I have been working with the Moonology system, and also this year's one is purple, which is my favourite colour. So yeah, and so what I've been doing is I really want to learn how to work with the moon phases, and working with the decks has helped me on that journey. I also have the book, but this one really does help to take it the next stage further, because you have all the astrology signs and the moon phases, and then it's just a case of working out where the sign is and how it triggers the house in your chart. And this is probably not the video to go into too much detail of how that works, but yeah, because I have lots of things that I want to do, and I'm not sure what I should do. I'm trying to use kind of my birth chart and the lunar phases to guide me to focus on particular things, because the theory is that there's particular tasks which will be more successful if you do them at particular times of the month, depending on what the moon's doing. So whether you're in a waxing phase where the moon is getting bigger and there's a great deal more energy to be used, which means you're more likely to get things done, or whether you're in a waning cycle where we're going from the full moon back to the new moon, which is more of a time of sort of letting go and rest and reflection, and yeah, just little reminders to help me be a bit more on track. In addition to diaries, I didn't actually buy this. This was sent to me by mistake when I ordered this, and the lovely Cheryl was kind enough to order a replacement, and I did offer to send this back. This is the Rockpool Witch's Diary, and it's absolutely beautiful, and there's lots of kind of information about the Sabbats, there's spells, there's rituals, and obviously you have diary entries as well. So this was a really nice kind of surprise, if you like, and so yeah, if you're into kind of the changing seasons and seasonal energies rather than maybe lunar energies, this is an option for you. I'm sort of trying to include both. That might become a bit too much, but we'll see how we get on. I've also been reading some books this month, well, this month and last month. So last month I finally finished Rebecca Campbell's Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It. I've sort of been dipping in and out of this probably since the summer. I've really enjoyed this book. I think this book is probably aimed at people, and mostly predominantly women, who are reaching a certain time of their life where maybe we are going through a time of kind of transition, threshold, releasing things that no longer serve you. And this is just a really gentle book that sort of guides you through that. Rebecca shares a lot of personal experiences. And so, yeah, it sort of is a real reminder that, yes, life gets overwhelming, and actually nature is the best medicine, you know, just to step away and kind of reconnect to those things that, you know, as a species we used to do all the time without questioning it. And obviously with the rise of technology, a lot of us have lost that connection. And so, yeah, if you're feeling maybe a little bit lost wherever you are at your stage of life, there's some really nice tips to kind of help you find your way again. And so after finishing that, I started reading this, and a good friend of mine lent this to me because she knew I was kind of into tarot and kind of subtle energies and crystals. This is the Celestine Prophecy. This book's been out, I think, since the 90s. I think it was really popular, and if you've not heard of this, and I'm sure you have, it's sort of a fictionalized account of a new age thinking. So the premise is that this chap is told about this secret manuscript that kind of looks at the human condition and the challenges that we face, but how, if you kind of step away from all the immediate stuff and sort of connect deeply, kind of on a soul level, how you can become more loving and sort of free yourself from, you know, everyday shackles that seem to trap a lot of us in our thinking. And yeah, I've really enjoyed the concepts behind this book. The actual story, it's okay. I mean, it's quite a basic story, if that makes sense, and a very simple story. But I think for the bigger ideas that it's trying to express, it's certainly interested. So if you're certainly, you know, if you like looking at energies and kind of viewing life on a more soulful, spiritual viewpoint, then you might find this quite interesting. I did say I'd share a little bit about the deck that I'm creating. I know some of you that follow me will know that I am designing my very first tarot deck. I know it's taken ages, and I know I haven't probably given as many updates as I thought that I would, but I am getting very close to finishing the designs. In fact, I've got 3 cards left to design, and they're sort of partially designed. I just need to get the last few details and make sure I'm happy with the composition and that the card is saying what I want the card to say. And once I've done that, I then need to design the backs, and once I've got to that stage, I think I'm just going to order a test copy for me, and then I'm hoping that I can start sharing the cards with you whilst I then work on the book and the packaging, and getting my head round organising a Kickstarter campaign. So hopefully I will be doing a longer update soon. I am starting to share some of the artwork and the meanings behind the artwork in my course that I mentioned, and so this course is where I'm sharing some of my favourite depictions of each of the cards as a way of learning just the main meanings. So I don't go into too much detail about kind of the classic symbology or astrological correspondences or Kabbalah. It's really designed for those people who are sort of starting out or returning to tarot, but using a variety of images for each card to just really look and explore some of the main meanings of each card. And if you're interested, I will share a link to those videos. I haven't been wanting to write down lots of detailed written notes about the tarot readings that I've been doing, and I think that's just because I've had a change of circumstances. I've started a new job this month, and I just don't think I've had the headspace to really sit down and do the deep dives that I was doing up until this point. But what I have been really enjoying is doing sort of more visual interpretations of my readings, and I've shown some of these before and then I sort of stopped doing them. I think these things just go in phases and it's a bit cyclical. And also I have also been very aware that I've been doing a lot of doom scrolling, and so I want to be doing more hands-on drawing. So this kind of fulfills two different things really: to explore my tarot readings, but also do some artwork. So this is my most recent one. I had loads of fun doing this. This was from the I Am Queen Oracle combined with a couple of my Lisa McLaughlin decks, which I've spoken about before. And yeah, it's just really nice to work in this way, to try and get the main headlines, if you like, from the reading, rather than sort of spending ages writing notes down. And as you know, as I've explained, I'm a visual person, so for me this is more of an intuitive way of unlocking the readings, and when I come back to these, I can instantly remember what the reading was about. I mean, I do put some keywords on there as well, rather than have to sort of read through a lot of text. And I think this is really also led on from my more shadow work journal that started evolving kind of September last year, which has been a real interesting journey, where I've been pulling cards, and I've been mostly doing these sort of linking in with the moonology work that I've been doing these in the dark moon phase. So that is the phase just before the new moon, and this is a good time for sort of letting go of any last things that you need to get rid of before you come into the new moon phase and manifesting. And it's just very interesting looking through this book. There's definitely a story, there's definitely a narrative going on here. And so yeah, I've taken elements from readings, plus my own style and my own characters and sort of visual language that I've been evolving over the last few years, and it's all sort of come into one melting pot of hopefully creativity and imagination. And yeah, I've really enjoyed and valued doing this. It's been a very yeah, healing process, I think. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and just having a little casual catch up. It's quite nice to do these more informal videos from time to time. I hope you have had a good start to the year, and as I said, do comment below and share what you've been doing with your tarot practice this month, and if you've got any plans for next month. I'm continuing to keep my practice open and sort of go with more intuitive choices with my decks rather than setting out any intentions at this point. So if you did like this, then feel free to give it a cheeky like, and of course you can subscribe to the channel for a variety of content around tarot, oracle and arts. Until the next time, here's some other videos you can watch, and I'm Sally. This is my channel, Vaudeville Manor, House of Art and Tarot, sending you much love wherever you are today. Bye bye.